That is such an easy question because the bar is so, so low today. And it's not just members of congregations that consider themselves to be theologically illiterate and consider theology to be useless and by and large irrelevant. It is pastors who are saying the same thing. They're saying theology doesn't preach, and I only seem to connect with my congregation when I do psychology, contemporary affairs, aesthetics, novels, comparative religion, um, lectures on this and that topic. So the starting point is just to let folks do theology today. I say that every Christian is already, by nature of being a Christian, a theologian. The first step for me is to get rid of the notion of theology as an activity that professionals are engaged in ivory towers, in seminaries. I mean, by and large, people in seminaries aren't doing much theology anymore. If we then can say, every one of us who picks up a Bible, or for that matter a newspaper, and tries to wrestle with it, with the relevance of the Bible for the contemporary world, or a Christian response to the events on the front page of today's newspaper, that person is already doing theology. Then it's only a question, are we going to do it well or poorly? Right? So if we could change the valence on that word, which tends to mean useless, irrelevant, abstract, from a bygone century, or anti-biblical, liberal, humanistic, depending on your own set of prejudices, if we could turn the valence around and say theology is when Christian folks engage the contemporary world in a vital way, when they ask the hardest questions, and then they sit down and try to give some answers. That would be the starting point. Now, do you think that's going to have an effect in mainline churches? I would say definitely. I can only speak of my own experience. When I go into a Sunday school program, or when I preach something which is really a theological sermon in a mainline church, I don't have people saying, well, that's really offensive. You know, how could you talk about the nature of God or Christ? I have people by and large saying, that's what we've been waiting to hear. We kind of wondered, why is it that we continue to attend a Christian church when there's so little content in our activities? And people, I believe that there's a deep, deep hunger across the mainline church. Denominational authorities are scared, I think, because the numbers continue to drop. They're scared because evangelical churches, where one certainly can identify the theology, are growing. Pentecostal and charismatic churches are growing. And I think the answer is not better techniques for youth ministry, better techniques for preaching, to sound more like what the congregation's peer group outside the church believes, but the opposite, to say, what is it that's distinctive? And if we try to show Jesus relevant to the world, and we and everyone around us conclude, hey, this guy is just not relevant anymore. 2,000 years is a long time. His message, his teachings, and the core teachings of the church just don't speak to today's world. Well, then we've lost. But I'm willing to bet my life and soul and every remaining breath in my body that that is false. And that the more we talk about this guy, and the more we talk about the way the church has understood him, and the more we talk about being the arms and legs of Christ in the world today, the more people will get excited.